Swabodhe na Anya Bodhecchaa Bodha Rupataya Atmanah na Deepasya Anya Deepecchaa Yadhaa Swatma Prakaasane. To know the self, one needs no other knowledge, for one's own self is of the form of knowledge. A lighted lamp does not need another lamp to make it visible, as it illumines itself. Let us start with the understanding that we cannot ignore the fact that the consciousness gets reflected in us through a process. If we deny this, we will get nowhere. All we can do is to say that we are not the jiva, the individualized being. Our strategy for escaping from our self-made prison is to disassociate ourselves from the body, mind, intellect as much as possible. Therein lies our only recourse for liberating ourselves. If we did not have the I sense, that is the lower I sense, ego sense, there would be no problem in the first place. But it has happened like that. It is unavoidable. So, the only way is to feel we are the Supreme Self and not this Jiva. In this process, our greatest instrument to accomplish this is our intellect. We have to use its power of analysis, of thought construction, of decision, and command over the rest of the body's components to the ultimate level. In this verse, we are given the assurance that once we have done this part of the sadhana, using the intellect, the self will reveal itself to us. By now we know of the example, the story of the 10 friends, and how they left counting themselves and counting the other 9 and were shattered that they have lost one of the 10 while they were swimming in the deep sea. And we also know that subsequently a passerby, a guru, asks them the cause for their agony, and then he makes all of them stand in a row and count all 10 people and proves to them that all 10 are safe and there. When each person has counted the other nine, the wise man takes that person's fingers and makes it point to the one who was counting the other nine and says, "You are the 10th." The very fact that the identifier is identifying and proving the existence of all others is proof of his own existence. No further proof of his existence is needed. I have to check the existence of others, but I need not check about the existence of myself. I am myself the proof of my existence. Na Deepasya Anya Deepecchaa. There is no need for another lamp to light one that is already lit. In the same way, there is no need for anything to light the self that is reveal the self to us, because the self has this capacity built into it. It is self-luminous. When all the things that conceal the self from us are removed, it shines forth by itself. All our sadhana is to undo all the harm that has already been done in various births of ignorant living. Once we can grasp with our intellect the condition of the entrapped jiva, then alone can we take the steps to remove the veils one by one and permit the self to shine through. Light is necessary to see objects in dark. But when we have a lighted lamp, we do not need another source of light to see the lamp. There is no need of a lamp to see the sun, which illumines all the objects of the world, as the sun itself is self-luminous. Similarly, to realize and experience self, which is verily consciousness, there is no need of any other consciousness. The self, which is the only reality, does not need another illuminator to illumine it. The self, as we learnt, is the sole illuminator. Kathopanishad says, the sun, moon, stars, fires, and all derive their illuminating power only from the self. It is the absolute consciousness because of which all appear as conscious. Self is verily consciousness, and if there is another illuminator that illumines it, then that would mean that there is a second consciousness, second Sat. Two or more Sats exist, which is not possible. Because If we believe that the second consciousness has illumined the first consciousness, and the first consciousness is not self-luminous, then it would go to prove that again the second consciousness could not have been self-luminous, and therefore there should have been a third consciousness to illumine the second consciousness, and this sequence would be endless. Thus, Atman is self-luminous. Also, it is impossible to deny one's existence, and there is never a need of any external aid to prove that I exist. The awareness of existence is ever present. Thus, the Atman is self-luminous. Like no lamp is required to light up a lamp which is already lit up, even a guru cannot create a new light in his disciple. His disciple is already and has always been existing as self-illumined consciousness. Then does it mean that there is no role of a guru ever? No. Guru does have a role. He removes all that which has been covering the light that his disciple verily is. He takes his disciple out of all his misconceptions, all his misapprehension that he is a limited body-mind sense jiva. Along with that, the Guru teaches that the disciple is nothing other than self-luminous Atman. When, in the climax of his teachings and the climax of the disciple's absorption of all his teachings, all that has been clouding the luminous lamp, the Atman, is removed, erased, wiped out. Then the disciple realizes that all that his guru taught him about Atman, he is verily that Atman. And he always has been that Atman. He was always lit up within. He was never a piece of useless waste dust. He was just the gold which had gathered dust over it for decades, for centuries, for several births. Guru comes and removes all the dust that had gathered over him, the disciple, and then the disciple verily shines as pure gold, Bangaru. Though he realizes that he was and he is always lit up within, always the pure self, still his gratitude to his Guru knows no bounds, because if his Guru had not walked in his life and removed all the clouding of his inner true identity, where the clouding is all the ignorance that he is the Jiva. If that was not removed, then he could have never realized that he is self-luminous Atman. And this pure awareness is never a new attainment, altogether a new light which has been lit up. It is never outside himself, ever. Therefore, the gratitude and the reverence a disciple has for his Guru also shines along with he himself shining as the self-luminous Atman. In simplest words, if we have to understand this, how much ever Vedanta treatise or Upanishads is imparted to us, how much ever we are taught about Atman, ultimately Atma Vidya or Atma Bodha does not come to us as something very new from outside. All the knowledge gathered on Atma Vidya or Brahma Vidya, they help us in removing our ignorance and we then go on to discover that all that the Guru and the Shrutis taught us about Atman, pure awareness, which is referred to here as Deepam. We are ever and we have ever been that light, that self, which is always been shining within us, as pure awareness, Chit. It is never an invention, it is only a discovery. And not even a discovery like any other discovery. It is the self-discovery, discovery of the self within. But still we prostrate with reverence to Mother Shruti and to our Guru and all Gurus, known and unknown, because they are the one who have helped us in removing our ignorance, our avidya. And then we realized the self within. It cannot be explained in a more simpler way for anyone to understand at his or her intellectual level. Having understood that with sattvic intellect, then the goal of a sadhaka, mumukshu sadhaka, is to enter into an non-stop meditation, to actually experience what the sadhaka has learnt about the self that shines within them. Call it Atman, call it pure awareness, call it light. Hari Om Tat Sat.